If your team moves fast, prioritizing tasks is basically triage with nicer Jira labels. I tell people, start with what breaks users, then what blocks other engineers, then what quietly becomes a 5-alarm fire, if ignore.
That sounds sensible. But in practice, everything feels urgent.
Of course it does. Half the requests are urgent because someone sent them in a Slack message with 3 exclamation points. I trust impact over volume. If a task doesn't move revenue, reliability, or unblock a dependency, it probably doesn't get to cut the la.
What about when your manager wants 2 things yesterday?
Then I ask which yesterday they mean. Seriously, I force a trade-off. Fast teams don't fail because they're busy. They fail because nobody names the cost. You can do anything, but not everything.
I've noticed I say yes too quickly.
That's common. I did too, back when I thought being helpful meant being a martyr. Terrible strategy. Better to say, I can take this, but something else slip. People hate that answer for about 10 seconds, then they start thinking.
Unless they don't.
Then they're either inexperienced or pretending not to understand physics. And that's where deadlines get funny. Everyone wants a date, but they really want a promise wrapped in optimism.
Yeah. I've been pushed to give estimates before I even understood the ticket.
That's how you end up betting the quarter on a guess. I try to split it into risk, unknowns, and actual build time. If the task is familiar, fine, I'll estimate it. If it's messy, I say so. 2 days if nothing weird shows up is not a cowardly answer, it's an honest one.
People still treat estimates like commitments, though.
Because some people are allergic to nuance. So I give ranges. 3 to 5 days, not Thursday at 2:14 p.m. That way when discovery happens, and it always does, we've got room to breathe, instead of performing deadline theater.
I guess realistic deadlines are better than heroic ones.
Heroic deadlines are how you get a bug fix named after you in a post-mortem. Honestly, I'd rather look slightly pessimistic than wildly wrong.
But what if they want the shortest number?
Then I ask, shortest based on what assumptions? If they can't answer, they're not asking for an estimate. They're asking for a wish. And wishes are noisy, which is exactly the problem with meetings. They eat the same calendar as deep work, then act surprised when nothing substantial gets done.
I feel that. Some days I spend more time talking about the work than doing it.
Which is a lovely way to stay employed and totally unproductive. Collaboration matters, sure, but it needs boundaries. I protect a few blocks every week where I'm unreachable unless the building is on fire.
I'm always hesitant to do that. Feels like I'm being difficult.
You're not difficult, you're available in the future. Big difference. If people can't find you for 2 hours, they survive. If they interrupt you every 20 minutes, nobody gets the design right and everybody loses their temper.
So you batch meetings?
Exactly. Put the chatter together, keep the thinking separate. Otherwise your brain spends all day warming up and never quite starts. I had a week once where I reviewed 6 quick things and produced nothing but opinions and a headache.
That sounds miserable.
It was. And very modern. Very modern, and very bad for your attention. Interruptions are the tax we pay for working with other humans, but context, switching charges interest.
I lose a lot of time when I bounce between tasks.
Everyone does. People think switching is free because you can physically open another tab. Your brain disagrees. It leaves a little note on the desk saying, back in 30 minutes maybe. How
do you handle it without sounding rude?
By being clear before the interruption happens. I use status messages, office hours, and, if this isn't blocked by the next hour, send it later. Saves everyone the awkward dance. Also, I keep a scratch pad so when I do get interrupted, I can return without having to reconstruct my entire life from memory.
I should do that. I keep trusting you'll remember.
Dangerous optimism. I used to tell myself, I'll just answer this one thing. 2 hours later, I'm debugging a printer issue for a guy in finance. No offense to finance, but that's how your afternoon dies.
That's painfully specific.
Because it happened last Tuesday.
So those little protections actually matter more than I thought.
They do. And agile ceremonies help if you don't let them turn into ceremonial suffering. A good stand-up should surface blockers fast, not become a morning podcast nobody asked for.
Hours can drift a bit.
A bit is how stand-ups become status theater. Same with planning and retros. If you use them well, they're where time gets allocated honestly. You find out who's overloaded, which work is slipping, and what can wait.
I like retros when people actually say what's wrong.
Exactly. That's where you fix the calendar, not just the code. If engineering says every sprint feels impossible, maybe the problem isn't the team's discipline. Maybe the plan is fantasy with a deadline.
That happens a lot.
More than it should. I've seen teams plan as if each developer has 12 hands and no lunch break. Then everyone acts shocked when the sprint ends in a small catastrophe.
So, the ceremonies are kind of a mirror.
A very annoying mirror, yes. But useful if you're willing to look at it instead of talking over it. And once you look at the mirror long enough, you start seeing technical debt staring back at you like an unpaid bill.
We have a lot of that. People keep saying we'll clean it up later.
Later is where debt goes to become interest. The trick is not pretending you can erase it all at once. You budget for it. Small refactors, targeted cleanup, a bit of hardening with each feature. If you never make room for it, the schedule will make room for it eventually, usually by exploding.
But, when deadlines are tight, debt is the first thing cut.
And then everyone acts confused when velocity drops. I push for visible trade-offs. Ship faster now and pay more later, or slow down a little and save the team from future misery. Both are valid. Pretending there's a free option is the lie.
How do you get people to agree?
By tying debt to pain. Bugs, slow reviews, fragile deployments, lost time. Nobody cares that a function is architecturally impure until it keeps paging them at midnight. Then suddenly they're philosophical.
That seems familiar.
It always is.